I mean, we're changing names and stuff. I think we're changing the Gulf to America. I think we should change the Statue of Liberty, too, while we're at it today. The Statue of America, you know? And,
or just Statue of Trump.
Yeah, Statue of Trump, get rid of the little plaque. I don't know. This whole thing, you were talking about how this is the part that Donald Trump likes, the pomp and the circumstance and the military. I've had to watch all this stuff today, and I got to say, I don't really love that everybody's just participating in this farce. Like, it is a farce. Like, Trump knows that it's a TV show. Say what you want about Trump. He knows it's a TV show. He went and gave one speech when he was supposed to play the role of important president, and then he goes to a luncheon an hour later, and he's like, the guys wouldn't let me talk about the stuff that I really wanted to talk about, which is revenge against crying Adam Kinzinger and blah, blah, blah. We're going to take Mark Milley's photo off the wall. Like, Trump knows that it's a show. And so I don't really know why everybody is playing along with his TV show. It's kind of where I do find myself pretty aligned with Karen Pence
today. Because it is
today.
a lie they have told themselves. They have told themselves the lie that if they are proximate to him, they are somehow going to be the final guardrail. And what we had to learn the first time was that did not prove to be true. There was no one who actually kept him honest and to his word.
Yeah.
What should we do instead? I mean, I'm game.
Well,
I'm with you.
I mean, Karen didn't show up today. I think that we can just call it what it is. Again, he doesn't put his hand on the Bible, whatever. Maybe that's an accident. Maybe that's symbolism. But, like, the notion that he is, going to uphold the Constitution and that we're going to have this ceremony today where Joe Biden and Jill Biden do the traditional thing and they have tea in the White House and they stand together and take pictures. Then they go to the Capitol together. Then he forgets to put his hand on the Bible, and then he says he's going to uphold the Constitution. It's like, we know he's not going to uphold the Constitution. He didn't already. He was in there once, and when he lost, he sicked a mob of people at the police that are guarding this very Capitol where all this stuff is happening. So, look, we can't stop any of this. And I think quiet protest, I think acting sternly and severely and speaking clearly about the truth of what we expect from Donald Trump, rather than saying, well, rather than giving, friendly niceties at the presidential lunch. I think that we're doing a lot of things that help him advance his own political project. I don't really, and by we, I mean, I think that his political opponents are doing a lot of things that help advance his political project today, and I don't really know why.
I mean, his political opponents include the Democrats. The Democrats are considering his cabinet picks. They are in the minority. Something I've asked you about, Claire, is why not use the tools that Tommy Tuberville used to hold up thousands of appointments to the Pentagon and the military, to hold up a single one of Trump's cabinet picks?
Well,
Pick one. Pick one.
Well, they're making them run the calendar on Hexeth. So instead of Hexeth being able to be voted on right away, he's going to have to wait all that time. What Tommy Tuberville did was a little different. He took a huge number at once. So for Schumer to work through each one of those, giving each one of those 3 days, was practically impossible unless you want to shut the entire Senate down for 4 months.
But Trump will want hundreds of people confirmed to his government. No. Why not say what? And I'm not saying which nominee the Democrats should pick. The one that gives them the most concern for the future of the country.
I think they'll run the clock on all the ones that are controversial. I don't think any of them will get through by a calendar that is set on unanimous consent. I think they'll have to run all the procedural hoops, which takes 3 to 4 days for each one that is controversial. But here's my response to Tim. I completely get what you're saying. Frankly, I thought today was going to be like a dental appointment with no Novocaine. And frankly, I need whiskey. But the point is that we got to quit paying attention to what he says and pay attention to what he does. And one of the things that Democrats have to do is point out to the country, this is a guy who laid out today the biggest big government takeover of local control in the history of this country.
Yeah.
Our country was founded, and the conservative movement and all those people that showed up for the Tea Parties and all the people that showed up to his rallies think government is the enemy and it's too big. So what's he doing? In his inaugural speech, he said, we're going to have the federal government take over your curriculum at your local schools. We're going to have the federal government take over your local police department. We're going to come in with federal troops and enforce local law in your community. This is unbelievably big government at work. And that's not what the people who voted for him, even the hardcore 27% of the country that's all in Donald Trump, they're not envisioning a big government takeover. So the Democrats have to show he's not going to bring down your prescription drug costs. He's not going to lower your taxes. He's going to play around with the benefits you've earned. He's got to cut the VA. And by the way, in the process, he's doing a big government takeover of things that you should be able to control locally or even in your own home. And if the Democrats have some discipline about that, I think they'll have some success in the next midterms.
You know, we've talked before about the politics of pain that Trump has this ability to promote. And I hear you, Claire. Normally I actually do agree with you. I do agree with you. I just feel that at this point in time, there are a lot of folks who are saying, let the pain occur, as opposed to me standing up or a Democrat standing up and saying, he's going to do X, he's going to do Y. We did that already. Been there, done that. And to Alicia's point, you know, what concerns me is that back in 1920s, 1930s, there was mass deportation of Mexicans in this country. They weren't even, many of them weren't even stopped to ask about their status. They were deported on sight. So when I think about the people that are yelling and screaming and supporting Donald Trump in the ways that he talks about immigration, they're doing that because my fear is they're going to start looking at people on sight, not discriminating as to whether or not this person is legal or not, but on site start removing people from their homes, start taking people off the street. And when that disruption really starts to hit home to families, we won't need to speak to it because people are going to start feeling it. And, you know, a reporter asked me the other day, you know, if there is a Democratic malaise. And I said, there's no malaise, there's introspection. And I said this the other day, there are a lot of people that were invited to the barbecue, but now we have a family meeting. And that family meeting has to intentionally exclude others because folks right now are trying to figure out, how do we move forward? Right. If that coalition that we thought we had didn't come through for us. And that is a real concern for a party, but also for community and constituency going forward. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I'm saying there's real anger out there right now.
Sorry, Basil. There's a malaise. Like, there were people in the streets 8 years ago this time. There were tens of thousands of people in the streets protesting this and saying no. And you can say, oh, that didn't work or whatever because he's back, but there's still some value in organizing, get out there and saying what is true and what is not true. And I just, and to both you and Claire, look, I agree. I think there are a lot of things the Democrats can do and talk about the policies and the failures, and there are going to be a lot of failures in the coming administration. But we just went through a period where the Democrats and the pro-democracy coalition, whatever you want to call me, was calling him an authoritarian threat and saying this is going to be an authoritarian threat. And then he comes in today and does 200 executive orders. And I just, that doesn't match with me to say this is an authoritarian threat coming in on the one hand. And on the other hand, I'm going to have tea with him and pardon my brother and take happy, joy pictures. I'm sorry, that just, there's a disconnect there. And I think that the American people see.
Well, I hear what you. I'm going to push back on your pushback. Okay. I hear what you're saying about malaise. I really don't think there's a malaise. I think what's happened is that there are a lot more people in this country than a lot of folks figure that side with Donald Trump. And rather than do the sort of massive protest that we've seen, because, you know, folks that want to protest can throw up a protest anytime. This is the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. We can throw up a protest. That we can do. What we have to now figure out how to do is how to navigate this environment right here, right now, me as a black man in this society. How do I engage? How do I walk the street? How do I support my family? How does my family engage? I'm a child of immigrants too. So how is this going to actually impact home? And I think that's what people are starting to say. You know what? I've done the demonstrative. I now need to do the personal. I need to be home, and I need to take care of community. And for at least a period of time, I think that's what we're going to see.